What's up, SNA assassinators? This is Super Ninja Austin back here with another video, and yeah, this is the review for the fight. Most of you assassinators, but yeah, and also we got some two surprising returns, like to be the exact. Which let's just say they're both from Canada. That's the one thing they have in common. But I'm not going to talk about it until I talk about like when I'm into that list of things that I'm recapping at this time, and also they also announced the date, like when they're gonna have AEW AEW Revolution, which is gonna be in the beginning of March, which I totally forgot exactly what day it is in particular. But let's say it's gonna be in March. Kyle Fletcher tried to do his best to try to do a repeat like he did a brutal and a massive carnage into this contest, like to the point that they were bleeding out the red stuff. It's where then, but at the end we saw Ospreay finally made his comeback, get his revenge on the Kyle, hit a brainbuster in the process, and hit a hidden blade for the 1-2-3. He advanced in the with the finals between either Kazuchika Okada or Ricochet. And speaking of them, they're up next, but this is where later on we do see him, like right before the main event, like him fighting for the Continental Championship. And let's just say he was not at 100%, which I'm going to get into in just a moment. But yeah, that's where we got the other match, which was also a classic. Well, I'll say since, like, well, if it wasn't for the semifinals, I probably would have gave this at least the second place spot of the silver trophy. But these two matches tied at the fifth mark of the red ribbon. Yeah, but this is where we saw the technical skills from Ricochet, and then the bitch man Kazuchika Okada. Well, I don't know how to say this, put it right in a nice way, but anyways, we got. But at the end, we saw Okada hits his iconic Rainmaker, which he thinks he's the master of the rain, and he gets the 1-2-3 to advance and defend his Continental Championship in the finals to take on Will Ospreay. But yeah, let's just say it was not how I expected it to be, but it still was a very incredibly and entertaining classic. Like. Which it deserves a silver trophy, which I'm not going to get into until in just a moment. But yeah, again, I apologize. I do not know what happened with Powerhouse Hobbs and Konosuke Takeshita, and also the Mariah May versus Thunder Rosa match in the Tijuana Street Fight for the AEW women. Guys, like once I get a chance to watch it, like when I have some extra time, I'm gonna tell you guys what happened and at least the skinny of it, and then tell you who won and who walked out of Orlando is the Women's World Championship and the International Championship, respectively. Similar to like Will Ospreay taking on Kyle Fletcher, with them beating each other to the point that they were wearing themselves black and red. I guess that's the right terms to put it. Like because this was such a horror show type of match. Like even though it was not exactly no DQ, but yeah, it was like how we predicted it to be. Well, except maybe the part with Kyle was not exactly the case, but we do. But it was like a long year waiting for this match, like with them trying to get their hands each other from the last 12 months, ever since like Adam Cole betrayed MJF right after he lost the AEW World Championship against Samoa Joe, which I talked about that in the last video, like I told you before. But yeah, I guess you could say. For those MJF fans, he finally got his justice and his revenge on to Bebe, because once there was an outside distraction, is where we got MJF push and steal the Dynamite Diamond ring holder, MJF. And what are your thoughts onto this? And do you think this is the end of this feud, or do you think this is going to continue in some way? Let me know in the comment section. The devil, and he beat him to it by betraying him before Maxwell betrayed him, like these guys respectively. But next up, we got the TBS Championship match between the CEO Mercedes Moné defending her title against Kristen Statlander in their part 2 match. But before I get into that, I want to say that MJF and Adam Cole, baby, gets the get the blue ribbon of the night. Unfortunately, I have to give it that much because it's just that the Continental Finals was really good and the same. Even though as much as I did not and agreed with the ending, but I still enjoyed the match and I was well emotionally invested. Like, trust me, I really was. But anyways, we also and also the AEW World Championship match. The reason why I'm giving it the Golden Trophy because of that finish, in particular, like how we predicted it to be, and some exciting elements that's going to be followed, which we're going to get into in just a moment. But yeah, this is where we got things started with the CEO and the self-proclaimed born-again Christian. Then started going for a grapple. This is where, but this is where Kristen moved Mercedes right into the upper left side, like right into the corner. It's where then she tried to hang on to her, try to do it for an avalanche maneuver, which I was like, hey, like let her go. Like, understand what's your deal, like with her. When we deal like having some kind of a grievance for towards her, but that's where we got Kristen trying to go for like an avalanche maneuver, but Monet had her knees up to strike her right in the face. She was about to hit the tornado DDT, which she had trouble of doing at first, but she managed to connect with the DDT maneuver. Kind of looks similar to yours truly would done it because that is a signature move. It is under his arsenal, like next to the springboard flip enziguri kick that's like Cedric Alexander. The only guy I'm going to mention by name like onto this video because this is an AEW review video. But yeah, this is where she has that maneuver. This is where she followed that up with 3 amigos. No way, not exactly 3, actually 10 amigos, because she would just keep going repeatedly of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Like, and this is where then Excalibur or Antonio Schiavone or even both mentioned that this is our idol's signature move, the late Eddie Guerrero, like the same one that inspired the CEO to become a pro wrestler herself. But yeah, this is where she followed that up with a frog splash, which is also her idol's finishing maneuver. But once you try to go for a pin, this is where Kristen kicked out 2.8. And this is where Monet was livid and very angry, like that this was not the finish, which that was very frustrating if you ask me. But anyway, she did not gave up though. But even though that Kristen made a comeback, hit her with a certain prize fighter on the other company's maneuver, the package pile driver, looks similar to how he hit the American Nightmare. They used to formerly wrestle in this company, which I'm not sure if I should call him by name, even though I did it before on an AEW review video. But yeah, that's how Kristen did it to the CEO Monet. Like this, is where she tried to go for a pin, but Monet did not let her get the dub. This is where she only got a 2.8 count as well. This is where then Kristen tried to go for a standing suplex like she normally do, which I believe that's her signature move. But this is where Monet countered it into her finishing maneuver, try to go for the statement maker. And this is where she almost had her, even tried to go for like a STF version, like with me saying like that certain wrestler that's about to retire next December is not the only Massachusetts native to be doing that maneuver because the CEO could do the same thing. And this is where then we got but that's where Kristen eventually like got into the bottom corner ropes. As much as like Monet was trying to prevent her from getting down right into the bottom corner's bottom rope, but she ends up grabbing onto it on the ropes. Mercedes Monet had no choice but to let go of Kristen Statlander. That's where then they managed to go outside. This is where we got a pretty cool spot where Monet hits the Monet maker right onto the concrete. And I was like, oh, too bad this didn't happen in the ring because that would have been it right then and there sooner. But this is where both women were out for good. This is where we got Monet and managed to get back in the ring. But this is where once the referee was at the count of 9, this is where Mercedes Monet was like, no, not today. And I was like, yeah, maybe for the best because you want to show that you're a true champion and not trying to take the easy way out, which some might say that she was which most of y'all probably say like she actually was taking the easy way out. She was just adding some good measure adding to the good measure to her, which is bad for Kristen and into her expense. But even for that, like that, she's still like putting in the hard work into this match and. And yeah, that's why she's a double champion, soon to be triple. But this is where we got her tying Kristen's legs together, and then stomping on it, and then also follow that up with a Meteora. Or I totally forgot to tell you, like after she got done, after she let go of her with the statement maker, this is where she hits the Meteora in the face. This is where I start shouting, like what? That's where I start shouting, like Io Sky has nothing. He went back in the ring. This is where then Kristen was having trouble getting her boot out of that little what's that little hole right into the bottom part, that middle part under the ring that keeps the ring up. This is where she tried to get it out of there. Oh, also I forgot to tell you that we got a very funny part. This is where they pulled onto the banners of the apron so hard to the point they ripped it right off the ring. And I was like, I never saw anybody did this before. Like they can do any types of unusual things. Like in most of them is probably for the better, I guess you could say. But it's where then we got this is where then we got what else happened? This is where we saw what's her name? Yeah, the CEO didn't go for a tombstone power driver like maneuver onto Kristen right into the hardest part of the ring apron. And if it was somebody else, I would shout it. They're not the Undertaker, but maybe I shouldn't for two reasons. But this is where then we got but this is where like once she did that maneuver, she managed to bring back Kristen back in the ring. It looked like she was about to do the Monet Maker, I believe, but yeah, the lightning unfortunately does not strike twice, and that's what the CEO Mercedes Monet accidentally forgot to realize, because Kristen nearly had her won with the Saturday Night Fever, but luckily Monet countered out of it into a wheelbarrow, into an ankle lock. But this is where once she got locked in, Kristen rolled her over into a wheelbarrow roll-up, but this is where it gets countered by Monet with her own version. And this is where they start going back and forth like those guys in TNA, which I totally forgot who exactly was wrestling at the time when they started going for roll-ups right into each other back and forth, like playing like wrestling tennis version of, or playing like a roll-up version of a wrestling tennis, I guess you could say. But yeah, this is where we got that's what pretty much was happening, and I kind of rhymed right there when I said TNA Monet. But this is where speaking of Monet, this is where she hits the crucifix version of the surprise roll of the most devastating move in professional wrestling to get the 1, 2, 3 and steal the TBS champion, Mercedes Monet. And then this is where then she celebrated, and I was assuming that she's getting ready New Japan crossover when they go to the Tokyo Dome, and they're gonna fight for the Rev Pro Women's Championship and the New Japan Strongman Championship to see who's gonna walk out of there with both of those championships. And hopefully it's gonna be the CEO and end the reign of terror of the creepy with Kristen just suffering another defeat. I guess this is probably double times better than getting some revenge by hitting a sunset flip powerbomb or even a normal powerbomb right through a table. And I'll say, definitely that part where Mercedes Monet did a tombstone pile driver onto Kristen right into the right corner side apron. I guess that was probably like triple times better than seeing her getting powerbomb right through a table. But yeah, well, all the jokes aside, let's talk about we gotta give a round of applause to Kristen with her. When fans start chanting, "You deserve it," and "You still got it," which I think she does in a way. But the sad thing is for her, it wasn't her night, and she was not going to be TBS championship again. At least not this time. But when do you think it could be time for her to win back the title that she did not lose by Pinto Classic finals match for the Continental Championship, which it was my boy Will Ospreay taking on the bitch man Kazuchika Okada, which is also the Continental Championship. And this is where we got things started with everybody involved getting physical, and I mean that in a brutally fighting way, like in wrestling. Will Ospreay is definitely going to be getting number one in the envy list of Gunther's, with him hitting knife edge chop after knife edge chop to the Rainmaker, but Rainmaker started some elbow strikes and they start going back and forth until Will Ospreay kind of fell down to the ground. He got a little bit of disadvantage. This is where we got Okada throws Ospreay outside the ring. He nearly tombstoned him. Just what I was about to say. He's not the Undertaker, which some of y'all probably call me a biased dreadlock mask wearing a-hole, or immature biased dreadlock mask wearing a-hole, whatever you want to call me. But it's where then we my boy Ospreay got out of it, pushes him right to the bomb side, hits a back slide strike kick right into the Ospreay tried to do the best he can to fight back, but this is where he ends up getting thrown right into the upper right corner side. This is where he nearly hit a springboard like a phenomenal forearm, but this is where he ends up getting countered by Okada. Okada hits a big boot right to the face. Oh, I forgot to tell you, in the ring, he had a DDT on him, and he had another DDT that spiked Ospreay right into the ground. Throws him right back in the ring. This is where then he him back. This is where I believe he hit him with a Rainmaker, was it? Yeah. This is where he only got like 2.999 kind of count. This is where then we got at first he tried to go for the Rainmaker, but it did not work at first. But he tried to get a guaranteed Rainmaker, which it was, because the first attempt did not work successfully. So he had a second time, but Ospreay kicked out the last second, which I was getting very happy about. This is where Okada tried to go for another one, but he was like, nah, maybe I'm doing this a bit too soon. He tried to go for another move, but he ended up getting intercepted. Ospreay then hits his comeback maneuver. This is where then he try to go for the Tiger Driver 91, or that double underhook neck breaker maneuver, Majiggy. But that's where it gets countered into a very devastating neck breaker with Okada messing with that neck. This is where we can hear the fans start chanting on one side, let's go Ospreay, and the other half was sent Okada up, which the other half has the worst taste in the world, much more than those guys in Cincinnati, with all due respect to those in Orlando. Speaking of Orlando, I forgot to tell you that the homeless man Hurricane kind of messaged me that he is here nowhere near Florida. But anyways, I was like, you lucky son of a biscuit. I tried to go for what move was it? I believe it was a hidden blade, but he ends up getting lariat like with a what's it called, with a quadruplet kind of quadruplet grand slam Rainmaker, but it's where Ospreay countered into a what's that called, double underhook spinning neck breaker Majiggy maneuver. This is where then he tried to go for the pin. This is where I thought this was going to be it, but this ends up being a 2.999999999 double triple nine zero point away from the three, which had me saying curses after curses, like why? But it's where we saw him outside the ring. This is where we got Ospreay and hit an Oscutter right on the outside. This is where we got Ospreay, I believe, hit a hidden blade out of nowhere, but Okada still kicked out of that. This is where he ran out of options. This is where then Okada got back in control. This is where he tried to go for a Rainmaker. This is where Ospreay Ospreay tried to go for another double under that worker maneuver, but the third time unfortunately wasn't the charm. This is where Okada flipped him right over out of it. This is where he hits a quintet lucky shot at the what's that called, of the Rainmaker to get the 1, 2, 3, and still your AEW Continental Champion Kazuchika Okada. And at first I was about to make this the worst moment of the night, because considering who won and who walked out of there as the Continental Champion, and it was not my boy Ospreay that's finally going to have his moment. But this is where, what saved this moment from being at the worst, like, was the announcement of a certain wrestler's return, I guess you could say, and this is where it was, which Okada was interrupted by former EVP and an incompetent bald biscuit head himself, Christopher Daniels, which he seemed like a little less than a biscuit of incompetent bald biscuit head. If anything, he's more competent than he ever was before. It's where he's like, and where he announced that he's no longer an EVP, but he will be presented this Continental Championship, but by this EVP that still is one, and it was, you will not believe who it was, and no, I'm not referring to the Young Bucks, perhaps their former on-screen best friend, and that is Kenny Omega, the returning Omega, like just 8 nights, let me rephrase that, before his match. And I was like, now I understand why they did not pull the trigger and put the belt on Ospreay. And speaking of Ospreay, I forgot to tell you, like, he was still stained with the crimson mask from the last match, combined with the crimson mask that he got recut open in this match against Okada, which you could that Ospreay's blood in it, which that sounds very creepy. It's like, if you ask me, like, yeah, I was like, yeah, he's totally disturbing. Like, you don't have to show me that just for me to know that, like, obviously, because I think he's the most disturbing man in all of AEW, I guess you could say. But yeah, this is where we got. But yeah, and also I forgot to tell you a spot that was very funny, which is probably gonna get goofy wrestling of the night and get that golden trophy, which was Ospreay hitting the suplex right onto Okada, like hit him so hard in his back to the point he started screaming and making that ugly face, like yeah. Like, I guess I'm right about his nickname being the bitch man. And I hope I didn't been offended by saying that word, but or I offend anybody for saying that word. But anyway, that's where we got Kenny Omega grab onto the Continental Championship, presented it to Okada, saying congratulations. But this is where he said something which we couldn't understand because they didn't have a microphone around it. This is where I believe Kenny Omega was challenging him, saying like once he's done with Gabe Kidd for New Japan and AEW's Wrestle Dynasty next Sunday, he might come back after him, and I hope he does. So he won't be the so he could be a double champion, maybe be like SNA's other favorite AEW wrestler, the other funny thing is they could possibly both be the strong championships, like one on the men's side and the other on the women's side, which that'll be very interesting to see and very awesome to see as well. Not to mention section right down below. But moving on, we got finally last but not least, which is the match of the night for probably the closing out of the moment, even though the match in general was very good. But yeah, it's the fatal four-way. He hits him and he hits and he hits me or however it is, like, in this weird, until they set their eyes on the champion John Moxley, which was probably a smart move. Well, maybe at the end, maybe I wouldn't say too much about that. But yeah, this is where they send him right to the corner, like out in the outside, right onto on the announce table. Well, and surprisingly, it did not explode, by the way, but yeah, this is where we once Hangman, Switchblade, and Freshly Squeezed took care of the Moxley problem. This is where they went back in the ring and tried to take care of their own problems by doing every move to each other, like with them countering out of like dead eyes or beach breaks or spinning your Nagi slam that looks similar to the spinning solo moves that did work for them, but even though it did not give them the 3 count. And they would keep doing this like until John Moxley got back in the fray, and that's where he started taking every single competitor out of the match until he tried to hit the Death Rider on the Orange Cassidy, but somehow Orange Cassidy hits the Orange Punch for almost a 3, and he would have probably gotten away with a 3 if it wasn't for that meddling cowboy that calls himself Sugar Honey Iced Tea, which Hangman Adam Page pulled out the referee before he was even attempting to go for 3 at 2.1. It's where the referee's like, what the hell is that all about? This is where Hangman Adam Page got back in the ring. This is where then we got him start going at it with Orange Cassidy. This is where then we got but this is where Orange Cassidy managed to hit us. What was this? Did he hit a Stud Dog Millionaire on the Hangman or something like that? I think he did something like that. Is where Jay White didn't come in, but this is where he ends up getting nearly hit with a Stunt Dog Millionaire. But this is where Jay White tried to counter to a suplex. But this is where Orange Cassidy countered it into a wheelbarrow roll-up. But this is where Orange Cassidy managed to pick him up and hit him with a beach break, was it? With a guarantee. This is where then we got this is where by Hangman Adam Page, but this is where Jay White came in and started hitting some Blade Runners after Blade Runners, like one to Hangman, one to Willa Yuta even, and even to John Moxley as well. Oh, well, I think he did, yeah. And this is where once he got everybody cleaned out in the ring, this is where Marina Shafir was right behind him, about to attack him by turning him around, which that was a big mistake from the female member of the Death Rider because Jay White got prepared and he was like, at least 5 times, if not 10 times ahead of her, hit her with a Blade Runner as well. This is where then we got Jay White nearly this is where he hit her with a Blade Runner. This is where he was like bang bang to everybody, like, and bang bang to everybody. Like with him, everybody's gonna be a target like of his shooting because it's every man and maybe even woman for themselves. Like because like because yeah, this is what Jay White did. Like until like he until John Moxley came out of nowhere and attacks what's his name attack and the winner of this match and steal the AEW World Championship unsurprisingly because we all knew this was going to be happening because we just see that there's going to be somebody else that's going to dethrone him. But also we also saw what's the name in attendance, Christian Cage with his kayfabe family of the patriarchy, like which they were sitting right on top. That's where we got Christian Cage holding up this platinum contract to let everybody know, like, whoever walks out of Orlando's champion is going to come after them and become the future AEW World Heavyweight Champion. While what's his name? Hook was in the other side, like making sure that he does not try to do anything slick or dirty. And then, and every move that he makes, he's gonna stalking him and following and after him and trying to make his night a living hell, like they did him from the last few weeks. It's the patriarchy, but yeah. Besides all that, this is where we got. You got the AEW World Champion, retains the championship, but that's not all because we got a teaser on what's to come. This coming Wednesday when they go to Asheville, North Carolina. Gee, I wonder who lives out there. Like in a couple of TR, like Uncle Dax the Axe and Uncle Cash the Flash. But it's where it's like we didn't came alone because like we brought an ally that will help us take care of you. Take care of you, mind-controlling bastards. Well, he didn't say all that, but this is where we saw on the screen that said rated FTR. And I was like, no way, this cannot be. And this is where we heard the theme music start playing. You think you know him, and this is where and we heard the music on this day, dude. And yeah, we've seen the return of the rated R superstar Adam Copeland. Finally made his return from over how many months since April, or May. I'll say for the last 7 months in that steel cage match. He finally made his return, and this is where they went face to face with the Death Rider. John Moxley tried to go for an attack to Adam, but he ends up getting booted right into the face. Is where we got Dax the Axe and Cash the Flash and took care of Pac and Willa Yuta. And I was beside John Moxley by throwing Pac right on the outside while following that up with a shatter machine on the Yuta. It's where then Adam Copeland went face to face with John Moxley. With Moxley, try to go for a clothesline, shout something at him. And this is where Adam Copeland ducks out of the way, run to the right side, spears him in the process, and then let him know that he's coming after them. And this is where he's like, I'm back, kid. And then this is where he's like, yeah, I call you a kid because I think it's so cute for you to think you're the king of AEW right now, but you're gonna realize that you're not you're not exactly into that caliber, I guess. Even though I didn't get a chance to watch two of, I'm glad where exactly they're gonna be located at, but I still will be talking about with check out that stuff on the SNA podcast first thing tomorrow and the review later on tomorrow around same time if not earlier but yeah, like I said, this is that'll be be it for tonight, and I hope y'all assassinators have fun and have an awesome night. And overall, I'll give AEW at World's End a 4.5 stars. It was pretty decent and basic to the point, what it needed to be to follow things up on what to expect in the future of AEW. What if it's the Fighting of the Fallen or Wrestle Dynasty or any other of their future pay-per-views, which we're going to be seeing AEW All In July, and then August Forbidden Door. September is going to be AEW All Out, and then October will be Wrestle Dream, November Full Gear, and then next December will be AEW World's End. But what are your thoughts on this future scheduling of AEW's pay-per-views? And what matches do you think is going to be on the card potentially, like in the near future? Let me know in the comments down below. But I guess that'll be it for now. And I hope you assassinators have a wonderful rest of your Saturday night. And I will see you all in the next video with some more SNA content. Until we meet again, Super Ninja Austin, out of here. Bye-bye, my assassinating homies. And I will see you guys soon on the next video. Peace and good night.